so I've got three words for you in tonight's video. Xpeng Motors stock, or specifically Xpeng Motors as a company, because Xpeng, not necessarily the stock at the minute, but the company are making some strides which are going to potentially have a huge impact on the share price into the coming weeks and even years. So if you're going to want to know that, I would recommend that you watch all the way through to the end. Also, whilst you're here, I make videos on the stock market every single day, so if you don't want to miss any of those, please do subscribe. Like I always say, trying to get to 1,000, almost halfway there. If you could just press that little red button by helping us to get a little bit further, and also helping to increase your knowledge on the stock market. Okay, so another thing is, obviously I am no financial advisor, just need to state that one. And the final thing is, I now have a Discord group where we can all come and talk about stocks, and you can tell us what you think about certain stocks and even interact with me on that group. It just makes things a lot easier. Right then, Xpeng stock. Let's have a quick look on the 1 day. 1 day, really not even too much to talk about here. If you can see, we started off around, let's call it 1971, so clearly not too much move. We went down all the way to 1935. Now we're back up to 1957. So technically we have lost today only a few pence, but you know, on a smaller stock, this does tend to add up. Obviously, if a stock's worth like $1,000 and it loses a few pence, that's just a smaller percentage than whether it's, you know, like a $20 stock like here and it loses a few pence. So you can see how that's going to have an effect. On the 1 week, we are actually down quite a bit. So we started off on 1998 and it was all looking good up until, I would say, this point. In my personal opinion, it looks like we're having a strong bounce back from the short sell-off before. We went up to $20.5, so clearly $20.50, not a bad price point at all. And then we basically saw dips all the way down to lows of around $19.74. Then we started to really just flatten out for a bit before we saw an increase of about 20, you know, back up to $20.45, so not bad at all. But really, ever since then, we have seen a big sell-off. I mean, yes, there have been little V-shaped recoveries, dips, and then peaks again, but really we have been on the way down, and it looks like this is possibly even set to continue. However, it shouldn't do into the next few years. So let's have a quick look on the 1 month. And actually, we are still red on the 1 month, but not really to, you know, a large extent. So if we look out to the start of the month, 2048, look out to now, 1962, so clearly like $1 lost, maybe even a bit less, but you can see here that's not really too big considering the drops which we have seen over the month, which have actually been able to rectify themselves. So we saw lows down to $17, so you can imagine the stock has kind of dropped. We saw a high this month also of 21.12, so not bad at all. And then out to the 6 month, you can see really how the stock has been quite stable, not really doing anything. I mean, yes, like I said, a few pence here and there doesn't really matter too much on the, you know, grander scale of things, but when we look out, we can really see the growth which we have had. So we started off 95 cents in US dollars, that is, and we've risen all the way up to about $21, so you can see quite the rise, and we're basically flat now. However, this is projected to change into the next few weeks and months and even years. So let's have a quick look at Xpeng Inc. and the Xpeng Inc. stock forecast for the next few years. Okay, so of course we're on money.cnn.com if you want to know the website. It's also under CNN Business, but you can see here Xpeng stock. So of the 5 analysts offering a 12-month price forecast for Xpeng Inc., they have a median target of $170, high estimates of $182, low estimates of $143. The median is representing a 771% increase from the last price of 1956. So let me just break that down for you guys. So what does that mean? It means obviously they are expecting the stock to go up 700%. Now, of course, there are only 5 analysts looking at this, and they could be wrong. Usually, the more analysts which are looking at a stock, the more accurate it's going to be. But you can understand how this one's going to work. All the analysts which are actually looking at the stock right now, because it's not that big of a stock at the minute, they're basically all bullish on it. So the lowest bull is about 600%, which is massive. The highest one is almost 1,000%, coming in at 835%. Massive gains potentially we are looking at on this stock. So of course we can see the stock going higher, and of course we are going to get more investor attraction into the next few weeks and months. But why is this going to happen? So never mind the actual investors. Sometimes I always say we need to look back to a company's actual business model to understand why the stock is going up so much. So of course we can easily look at what the company does and potentially decipher why the company is going up so big. So Xpeng is obviously a manufacturer of cars. It's a Chinese manufacturer of cars. So at the minute, I believe we only have two models out. I think we have the G3, it's called, and the P7. Other things to note about Xpeng, we've got discounts on charging, and I think it was also Xpeng which actually had a battery replacement scheme. So I think I talked about that in a few other videos. Of course, if you want to check out that in your own time, and I could be wrong with that, so please don't quote me on that one. But if that is true, and it was Xpeng, honestly, I review so many that I can't remember, but if that was Xpeng, that was quite the revolutionary feature, so potentially a great thing which sets this car apart from other vehicles on the market. Another great thing, especially for Europe, I mean, obviously I live in the United Kingdom, so I'm not 100% sure about how this one's going to work for America and whatnot, but in Europe at least, well, I don't, but generally speaking, people do like to drive around in these SUVs. Not necessarily big ones like the big trucks in America that people tend to drive, like a Ford F-150, but just these small kind of crossover vehicles are what people really want to buy, and they are hot in the market. So I think that could potentially be a great seller in Europe, if nothing alone. And I think an international great seller, if any of the cars on this range will be, is obviously going to be the P7. So we can understand the market which this is trying to appeal to. It's a big family car, business people, potentially people with a family who don't necessarily want an SUV. It's just, your standard saloon car, bit posh, bit nice. Obviously, you can make up your own decisions on what it looks like, but, we can understand the markets which these two cars are trying to appeal to. And of course, hopefully more cars coming into the future, and what that will mean is just more market share for this company. So why is the share price going to soar? So of course, this article on cleantechnica.com is telling us about how Xpeng stores record deliveries in September third quarter. So of course, third quarter of the year, and Xpeng Motors are securing huge amounts of vehicles. They have a record number of vehicles which are being produced. I think it was about 4,000 units. We talked about this in the last video. 100 units are coming to, I think it was Norway or something, Europe anyway, at least. I can't remember specifically what country, but they are coming to Europe and they're already here. So of course we can see this car company is trying to get out of China already. Great thing for the company because, of course, staying in China, yes, it is a big market, but if you stay in China, you are generally speaking only going to be known in China. Obviously, if you're exporting to all kinds of countries, you can grow your brand a lot faster, and you can also sell to a larger potential audience, so you can obviously make more money as a company. So great things coming for the stock. That's just a quick bit of news which I have to show you guys today. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. See you in the next one. Goodbye.